we have some more news coming in. Let's cut across to explosive revelations that's now come in the Air India Flight 171 tragedy that took place in Ahmedabad in July 2025. A whistleblower submission now before the US Senate is raising grave questions about a possible cover-up. A detailed report submitted to the US Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations alleges that the Boeing 787 Dreamliner had years of hidden electrical failures, never disclosed to the public. Submission has directly challenged India's aviation probe. India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, or the AAIB, in its July preliminary report has appeared to shift the blame onto pilots, suggesting that fuel control switches were manually cut off. A narrative critics say mirrors the pilot blame playbook seen during the Boeing 737 MAX scandals. The whistleblower group, the Foundation for Aviation Safety, claims non-public documents from Indian and US sources reveal a far more disturbing truth. According to the report, the plane suffered chronic electrical failures, circuit breaker trips, avionics falls, smoke events, power surges, overheating and wiring damage. Most alarming is, of course, a major onboard fire that happened allegedly in Jan 2022 inside the aircraft's primary power panel, severe enough to scorch wiring and force a complete system replacement. Just months later, the aircraft was grounded again, and this time over landing gear failures requiring replacement of critical electronic modules. And this investigation warns was not an isolated aircraft. The Foundation analyzed more than 2,000 failure reports across the global 787 fleet, covering less than 2% of all Dreamliners worldwide, and says this represents only the tip of the iceberg. Let me bring in our reporter, Sabyasachi, joining us for more on that. Sabyasachi, this is going to be very explosive in terms of probe details that will possibly be factored in while investigation deepens into this case as to what really happened. We're still clueless as to why and how that plane crashed. There were hints, initial reports which were not supposed to be leaked, suggested that our Indian pilots, seasoned pilots, were at fault. But here, a whistleblower saying something that we all always doubted, that there could be a technical failure in that flight.
Well, that's right. This whistleblower who have conducted a very intensive report in the crash of Boeing 787. Now, as per the preliminary report which was submitted by the AAIB, now in that preliminary report, straight away the blame has gone to the pilot, where one of the pilots says that why is the fuel control switch turned off? Now, the other pilot says that I didn't turn it off. Now, when you turn off the fuel control switch, the fuel does not reach to both the engines. Now, this particular revelation has come out in the preliminary report. Now, we are all waiting for the detailed report as far as AIB is concerned. Now, the whistleblower has done a thorough investigation on this air crash, and they have submitted a report to the US. Now, in this report, what they have said? Now, they have said that very specific airline have serious electrical problems for years. Starting this particular airline in which the crash happened, they say electrical failures, circuit breakers tripping, software faults, smoke and fumes, burnt wiring, loss of power, and an actual fire incident had happened in the year 2022. Now, why is the fire incident important? Now, the investigation report says that the fire happened in critical power panel that supplies power to important systems. Now, the damage was so bad that the entire panel has to be replaced. Now, the electrical failures like this can cause confusing cockpit warnings or unintended system behavior. Now, the whistleblower also suggests that the hidden power defects may have caused the plane to behave unpredictably. These defects could have led to the fuel being shut off automatically or mistakenly, not intentionally by a pilot. Now, this concern by the whistleblower, they say that the investigators like the AAIB, which is investigating the entire crash, may be ignoring this history of this particular aircraft. So, massive details have been put out by the whistleblower, which says that they need to do the investigation thoroughly. The history of the aircraft need to look after, And what in the investigation has come so far, where the AAIB in their initial findings have said that the fuel control switch was turned off, and they release some audio which directly puts a blame to the pilot, whereas this particular whistleblower clearly does not agree with the investigation that has been done by the AAIB so far.
Okay. Well, this in a way almost confirms all those doubts, but this is not something that we can take on face value, is it, Sabyasachi? Do you believe this will be factored in while part of probe? The Indian authorities are still investigating. I'm not too sure what global authorities are looking into, but a whistleblower making these claims, how far will that actually find its way into investigative probe proceedings?
Well, that's a very valid point that you have made because as far as the civil aviation minister is concerned, he made a point that the investigation is going on the right track, and very soon we will see the entire report, why this incident happened and what exactly caused the air crash. Now, several of the whistleblowers, in fact, they have submitted this report, and this particular whistleblower have submitted this report to the US Senate, and they have demanded that there should be proper investigation. Now, few of the points that they have raised is quite valid. The history of the aircraft particularly had to be looked in, where they have made this allegation that this particular aircraft for more than 10 years have been having severe problems. There was a fire in this particular aircraft back in the year 2022, which could have possibly led to a power failure or technical issues. So these are some of the important points which the AAIB definitely would be investigating on, but clearly this particular point, whether the AAIB has been doing the investigation properly, this particular point also has been raised by several pilot association across the country, and even by the family members of the pilot, where they have said that the AAIB have not done the complete investigation, but all they have done is blamed the pilot for the crash. So there are a lot of questions that answer is needed, but we'll get all the answers once the investigation is completed.